Coming to you from deep in the heart of Texas, this is Punk Brats, a podcast focused on the lives and experiences of our military brats. We didn't serve, we got served. Now here are your Punk Brats, Rose and Lisa.
Hey, it's Rose.
And it's Lisa. Welcome to another episode of Punk Brats.
Wow, it's January.
Oh my gosh, January. Where did 2023 go?
I don't know, because we came up with the idea of doing a podcast, just like talking about it. And the next thing you know, we're actually doing it.
This is season 2. Welcome to season 2. Oh my
I know,
gosh.
and now we're in season 2. I mean, how
It's
does that
exciting.
happen?
You know
It
how
is
it
exciting.
happens? Because we have brats out there supporting us. And you know how they're supporting us? They're actually calling us, emailing us, leaving messages,
Thank you
liking our
so much.
stuff. So if you want to be a brat who wants to follow the Punk Brats, you guys give us a call at 512-254-5989. Email us at info@punkbrats.com. And we have our website, www.punkbrats.com. And look, we're social media people. We all are. So please go to your Facebook, X, and Instagram and like us. On Punk Brats, on X and Instagram, it's Punk Brats USA. Facebook, it's Punk Brats. There, I got that all out, Rose.
Wow, that was a lot. Yes, we are on all the socials. So yeah, definitely hit us up. We read every single email from y'all. We listen to all the voicemails. Thank you so much. And my niece, Lisa's daughter, actually pointed out that we were getting messages on like Spotify reviews
Reviews
that
and stuff.
we didn't know about. And that was so exciting to see. I was like, what? People are
Yes.
actually leaving reviews?
Oh, and send
Wow.
us pictures of your punk. We want to do the punk pets.
Oh,
So
yeah. Something else we're
emails-
branching out, the punk pets.
Email us pictures of your pets from when you were growing up as a brat, and we're going to put it on our website. We actually have a link to pictures, a gallery for punk pets. So anyway, so what are we going to talk about? Let's you get January out of the way. What's happening this month?
So basically, we have some holidays in January that I'd like to touch on. Obviously, New Year's Day. Happy New Year of the Dragon.
Yes, Year of the Dragon.
So, Year of
Which
the
is February
Dragon.
10th. So we'll talk about that next month.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next month. But you know,
I know.
we celebrate it on January 1st. World Day for Orphans. Actually, let me rephrase that. It's World Day for War Orphans, and that's observed on 6th of January to spread awareness around the plight of the war orphans. And they address, the traumatic conditions faced by them. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, January 15th, which is the third Monday in January, which it's usually celebrated on the third Monday in January.
And how appropriate, because Dr. King said we have a dream, and you and I had a dream to do this, and here we are. So
yeah,
it's awesome.
absolutely. And January 27th, we celebrate Vietnam Peace Day. It was it actually commemorates the signing of the Paris Peace Accords, which ended America's involvement in the Vietnam War.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. Wow, that's cool. Wow. Yeah, it's been crazy that we're still doing this. I'm like, God, are we going to run out of things to talk about? But then I'm looking at our list of our notes. We have like a trillion things we have to talk about, but just no time, right? Hey,
I mean,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that you and I, we jot down notes. We have this notebook that we jot stuff down. And I look through it and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it looks overwhelming. And then I don't know.
And we only talk about 2 things on it.
I know. It's like, will we ever get to this? It's like, oh no, we'll just save it for next month. We'll save it for next month. We may end up having to do maybe we'll go bi-monthly if we get a little.
Oh my God, I hope
more
so.
Popular.
That would be great. But
that'd be crazy.
You know what I'm so excited about?
About what?
That we recently went to the military base with our parents. Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah, that was kind of a surreal moment for me, actually.
We drove to Randolph Brooks Air Force Base in San Antonio and took a day trip with our parents there.
Yeah.
You're like stumped. What was so weird? That we're so old? It felt weird being on the base,
It felt weird because Dad was driving, Mom in the front seat, you and me in the back seat, like we were kids again. It was just
we
so
went through
weird.
the gate. They saluted us.
Yeah, just being able to relive that, but
And we went to the PX.
Yes, the PXN when we drove up, remember? And we
Yeah.
were because we were on an Air Force base. We're Army brats, so we refer to the post exchange as the PX post
Hmm.
exchange. But Air Force, they have bases, so it was the base exchange, and it said BX on it. So
Yeah.
that kind of reminded me of like growing up and thinking about the different,
Well, what was
I guess,
crazy is
words
when
for
we would go to the
exchange.
PX, it was small, right?
Hmm.
And
Right.
I even showed up in middle school one time. We were in the same shirt as three other girls because our moms obviously bought the same shirt at the same PX because our PX was so small in Zama. And that was more than one time that you would show up in school wearing something that someone else had on,
Oh my gosh, for
right?
sure.
And then here Rose and I walk into the PX in San Antonio and freaking hey man, they got Starbucks, Bath and Body Works.
Yeah, it's like, where was this exchange when I was growing up?
I'm like, holy shit.
A food
Yeah.
court. What the heck is
Yeah.
that about? They had a food court, and we grew up with a snack bar, the Run and Chef. If you guys remember the Run
They
and
had the
Chef.
best French fries. Oh my God. And you think about it now, everything was probably just frozen foods just dropped in that fryer, but it tasted so good.
Oh, it was so good. And the arcade games at the Run and Chef. Remember?
Yeah.
They had like
Yes.
two I don't remember which games they were. I think it one was like Tetris or something, and the other one was the game where you played with the ruler, like you smacked it really hard
Yeah,
with the ruler.
the track and field.
Yeah,
Track
something
and
like
field.
that. I don't remember.
Anyway, so what do you got this month for us for Did You Know?
Well, this one is really interesting. A 22-year-old United States Air Force fighter pilot in training to become a Top Gun has achieved the title of Miss America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really cool, right? Madison Marsh, hailing from Fort Smith, Arkansas, secured the prestigious award at a ceremony in Orlando, Florida.
Wait, her
And
name's Madeline?
no, Madison.
Madison?
Yeah,
I wonder if she goes by
Madison
Maddie
Marsh.
for short because Maddie won the Gerber baby and was also an Air Force brat.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Well, crazy.
Interesting.
Well, cool. Great. That's awesome. Congratulations. It's awesome having a military veteran representing Miss America. Oh, anyway, guess what? We have a special guest.
Hi, how are you guys?
Hello, P. It's our
Hey,
baby
P.
sister.
Oh, Patty. We call her Sweet Pea and P for
Yes.
short.
Patty's 7 years younger than me and 9 years younger than Rose. So she was technically an only child because when I moved out of the house, she was like 10. So, what was it like being a military brat for yourself? And where did you live?
Well, I was born in Fort Hood, just like Lisa. Our family then moved to Japan, where I attended Sagami Hara Elementary School. Then we moved to Rheinberg, and I attended Moores Elementary School. After that, we moved to Frankfurt, and I attended Frankfurt Middle School. And I then graduated from Loera High School, which is located in Anaheim, California. So by that time, I was in the United States. And yeah.
You moved a lot. You moved
You
a
moved
lot.
a lot. Yeah.
But the age difference, Patty was a brat like as an elementary, a little bit of middle school, and then got to come back stateside. Dad retired. And so she kind of had both lives, both dads, retired dad and
Yeah.
military dad. You and I, Rose, have only known military dad,
Mm-hmm.
But P, what was it like growing up having the punk brats as
I
your
loved
sisters? I'm putting you on
Yes,
the
Aren't we
you
spot.
guys were
awesome?
awesome. It was super sad though when you guys left for college.
Just
That was really hard for me, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
definitely loved having two older sisters. There's a huge gap between us, so it was like at times it felt like you guys were like my second mom. But I remember
yeah.
I really struggled when you guys left for college, and mom was super sad, and I used to call you guys all the time on the phone, bringing up the phone bill.
Yeah. Oh,
I
you
know. And
know,
that was the time when long distance
Yes.
calls were like, gosh, $1 million
Yes.
a minute. I remember that.
so here's something funny. Rose and I go off to college, and my mom and dad decide to send Patty out to visit us. And so Patty has this story. I'm putting it on record that we said that we were going to stop by a friend's, at a bar, not a bar, well, a bar,
A club,
a
like
club.
where bands play.
And we did. In her defense, we did. We had to go in really quick to go say something, to drop something off or something. And she says we left her for like a couple of hours in the car.
I mean, I definitely think it was more than a few minutes. I don't know about a couple hours, but definitely more than a few minutes. And I was so scared. I don't know if I can cuss or not, but I was scared shitless.
You can.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
I was
can.
scared shitless. And I remember sitting in the back seat and just, I think I was crying and I just couldn't believe it. But, being, being like a young child, like I think 1 minute feels like 60 minutes. You know what I mean? So, maybe it was a few
Yeah.
minutes,
Yeah.
but I remember it being definitely longer than that.
Who thought it was a good idea to put a young 20-something-year-old and a 18-year-old in charge of a little
Have a
kid?
Oh my gosh.
Oh
One
my
of the
god.
things I remember is that, being like an adult as a teenager in Germany, I will admit, like mom and dad would ruin my Fridays when I would come home expecting like I was going out and then they were going out and they were like, no, you have to watch your sister. I'm like, what the hell? You guys can't go
Yeah.
out. But when you do the math, mom and dad were like in their however old they were super young when they lived in Germany too. They were still in a young age where they were still having fun. Because look,
Yeah, early 30, I mean mid to late 30s.
so here
They're
I'm
mid to late
competing against our
30s.
parents to go to a bar because all my friends are at the Bakken and I'm at home babysitting Patty. But they always gave me Friday or Saturday. But
Yeah,
no, I
I
mean,
was just
Patty,
telling the
we love you.
kids how and Ray that I remember in Rheinberg we used to stay up, like during the holidays, like specifically Christmas, and mom and dad would stay up past midnight, and I used to be able to open a toy at
Yeah.
midnight, and remember they were with the rain-ons, and they they would be
Yes,
watching
Yeah.
yes.
wrestling, they would be
The
cooking. I think
traditions,
it was like probably close to midnight making breakfast. I mean, they were like, I guess you
right?
could say they were
That's
partying.
You know what? How many military kids are listening to this right now who remember, at least our generation, where their parents had these military parties on base and the kids would all get pushed in the room and you'd see like the smoke haze with everybody smoking cigarettes and the the Coors Light cans and you know what I mean? And then the next day, like, just, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad we had fun parents like that. I'm glad that they had fun together
Yeah,
and they're still together, man. So anyway, we were
Yeah,
lucky.
fun times. Fun
definitely.
times.
Yeah. Anything else come to mind, Patty, as a military brat and you being younger than us? Like the foods. What foods do you miss?
Definitely Japan. I don't really remember much, but Germany, I definitely
Uh-huh.
miss the French fries. Is it pommes frites? Yes, I definitely
Pommes
miss
frites.
that.
Yeah.
The
I remember
pomfrets.
dipping that in curry ketchup, and it would come in the little cone. I miss that so much. And
Yeah. Oh, the
yes,
cone, the paper
and
cones.
the Italian ice that we used to get. And yes,
Yeah.
I think
Spaghetti
you had
ice.
that.
But Patty, you would have to take a train. You would have to take a train to get to some of these places, and you're only 12, 13. Would you let your children get on a train now at 12, 11 years old,
No, I
13?
wouldn't even let my kids
And
walk
you're
out
in
the door.
Germany.
No,
But I remember, yeah, I used to take the tram, and
no.
like I would meet my friends and we'd go
Yeah.
downtown, we would go shopping, and yeah, I was allowed to do
Yeah.
that.
Well, I
Oh,
did too. I
man.
mean, when I was your
Yeah.
age, I was in Japan at the time. I guess eighth grade, I'd be probably about 13.
Going to
Just hopping on
Rapungi.
a train and going to Tokyo on a Sundays, Harajuku, and watching all the
Rapungi.
dancers. Yeah, watching all the dancers on
Yeah.
Sundays in Harajuku.
Yeah,
Um,
it is crazy how we could just have such freedom to come and go miles by a tram. I mean, if you do
mhm.
the distance of how far we traveled, when we lived in Japan, Rose, you and I would go to Machida from Zama, get on a train, go a few
Mhm.
stops. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, just to buy racers and whatever we were buying, you know?
erasers and records. I bought a ton of records. I love the
Yeah.
record store in
Oh,
Japan.
when people are like erasers, yes, in Japan we had this thing about
Yes,
collecting
I remember I collected
erasers.
erasers. That's why I'm laughing.
You had the
I
ultimate
used to have a tin
collection.
can. I used to take it to school. I had, yeah, all the little erasers, the pencils, the stickers. I actually
Oh
have
my
some of the
gosh,
stickers still
So
and
much
recently
fun.
gave them to Presley. And I can't believe I've held onto them this long. I don't know why, but I actually just gave them to her recently so she could, play with them.
you know, Patty, our guest that's coming up on this episode, his name is
Mhm.
Shanon Hyde, and he wrote a book called Military Teen. And he actually gives advice to military brats who are presently active military brats on how to cope, with change and moves and stuff. And so, anyway, I think I wish I would have had that book right when we were
Yeah, that
growing
sounds
up.
interesting.
Oh yeah, it would have been really
Yeah,
cool.
I feel like I would like
It
Yeah.
would
to
have been
read that
really
now.
cool. Yeah, well, I did read it. I actually read it, and I was surprised by how much I could relate to it, and how he's young enough to be my son, but he was writing words that I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, he's writing about my experiences, which just
Mm-hmm.
shows you that being a military brat, I mean, we've got, between us, we've got like what, 10 years between all of us,
Yeah.
us three girls, that we still had the same experiences. And
Yeah.
I'm going to say this every single show that, it doesn't matter how old you are. It's, our experiences, we experience the same emotions.
I said we're
Being a
ageless.
military brat.
Brats are
Yeah.
ageless. It
Ageless
doesn't
is a great
matter.
way to describe it. But
Yeah.
we got Shannon on the line, and it's going to be interesting to hear him talk about his book, Dear Military Teen, where he provides honest advice for military teens looking to take their next steps in high school,
Yep.
college, and beyond. So
Patty, I wish you lived in Texas. We
yeah, me
cannot get
too.
her to move to Texas. And you know why? Because she's scared of spiders and rats and snakes and all that. And yes, so
Scorpion.
we kill rattlesnakes in my scorpion. So I've been stung by a scorpion in my house, and we've killed rattlesnakes in my house. Patty does not sleep at my house when she comes to Texas to visit.
I love Texas, though. I really do.
Um,
I love the people of Texas. Super, super nice. So every time Ray and I go out
well,
there, we definitely enjoy it.
oh,
It's just a different vibe, but I definitely love
you're a
Texans.
native. Mm. Well, what football team do you like?
The Chargers, LA Chargers. Yeah,
LA
something I think the
Chargers.
three of us will never agree on, but that's okay.
Well, that's what we were saying. Our dad, poor dad, like your husband, Rose's husband, my husband, his three son-in-laws, nobody likes the Giants. And
Well,
and
I wouldn't
all
say
three
Craig
brothers.
doesn't like the Giants.
Well, you know
Craig
what I
doesn't.
mean? Like there's three different teams being rooted for. And so four if you count dad. The Giants, Cowboys, Lions,
Well, I
and
root for the Giants. They're my favorite team.
yeah. Okay, so you do. Well, Pete, we're gonna have you back on. Oh my gosh, this is cool. Why don't we have the three of us be punk
Yeah,
brats?
this was fun.
We're gonna have you on here
Yeah.
again for
Yeah,
sure.
thank you for having me.
Well, Patty, I wish you lived here. We really miss you.
Yeah,
And this
miss
has been
you.
so much fun bantering with you.
Mhm.
I don't know why we didn't do this sooner.
Yeah, this has been a lot of
We'll
fun.
do it again for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining
Thank you for
us.
having
Yes.
me. I think you guys are doing a great job.
Oh,
Cool.
thank you.
And I
Well,
love you guys.
yeah. So we're gonna bring in our guest here, Shannon, and but Patty. Before we bring him in, um, thank you for taking the time to visit with us. We love you, and yeah,
I
Have
love you
fun.
both too.
have fun.
Love you.
Bye.
All right. Wow, Rose, that was awesome. Patty was on our podcast finally. Oh my God.
I know. We kind of put her on the spot.
Yeah, I think
She
so.
was
So,
nervous.
we'll have to have her on again for sure. Oh my gosh, this just gives me an idea to have our whole family on. We got to get mom on here.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That's such a great idea.
So
Maybe she
anyway,
can walk us through a recipe.
oh God, that would be awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, well, let's bring Shannon out now. Yeah. Hey, welcome Shannon Hyde to the Punk Brats. I'm Lisa.
Hi, I'm Rose. Nice to meet you, Shannon.
Lisa, Rose, very nice to meet you guys. I'm really happy to be here and to officially be a punk brat. How cool is that?
Yes, you are officially a punk brat. How are you today? Are you having
I'm
a good
doing
day?
great. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a good day back at home. Just hanging out with the family, so enjoying the time here.
Are you looking forward to the new year and doing new things in 2024?
Yes, I'm going to be graduating college, hopefully. Fingers crossed. That's a big step. Going to be
Very
knocking that out, so should be a big year for
Oh,
me.
Very
you guys?
cool.
Yeah.
Well, graduated college a while ago. But, I was going to ask you if you are you like a resolution person or not? Because I'm totally not. But I always get people asking me if I make resolutions.
I'd
And I
break
always
them.
just yeah. I mean, I don't know. I try to just have set goals, throughout the year. That's just kind of my personality and how I work. But
Yeah. I'm really not. I think maybe I should be though. Like I think that because I don't know, I don't make fun of people who do it, but I'm always like, oh, that's not gonna last. But maybe I need to set some goals at the beginning of the year. I don't know. Can't knock it till you try it, I guess. I never
I
take
don't
it seriously.
know. I mean, we're about to talk about some fantastic things you've done and accomplished. So you're pretty goal oriented, I think, and I think that's well, I can't say all military brats, but most military brats I feel are goal oriented just because of our upbringing.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
speaking of brathood, tell us about yours. We always ask our guests, like, where were you born? Tell us a little bit about.
Yes.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Tell us about Shanon Hyde.
Shannon Hyde's brathood, man. I started in Camp Pendleton, California. That was my only time on the West Coast. Moved from there to Virginia, then North Carolina, back to Virginia, Quantico area, and Virginia both times. My dad was Marine Corps, so
Yeah. Okay.
all Marine bases. And then I made the big move to Okinawa, Japan, and that's where I went to high school. So those were probably the most significant brat experiences that I had. And then I came back to the States for just my senior year of high school in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, whenever my dad retired from the Marine Corps. So that was a whole different sort of transition I got to experience. And then now I go to Penn State up in Pennsylvania. So that's another move. My parents have moved 2 more times since I've been in college. So it doesn't really stop. Once you think you're out,
Yeah.
they always find
Is
a
your
way.
dad still active?
No, he's out. He's just moving
Okay.
for his new job. And then I'm moving to school and back, just trailblazing the East Coast.
And you were born, you said, in Camp Pendleton, California?
Camp Pendleton, California, yes.
Okay. You hear
Oh,
that, Rose?
wow.
He was a Kubasaki student, I should say.
Kubasaki, yes.
Kubasaki.
Dragonfire.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think our high school. So we lived in Japan as well. We lived in Camp Zama, and even though like the Dodd schools are small, we did have some sort of playoff. And I remember our school,
Yeah.
like I didn't go, but I remember football traveling down to Okinawa. It's in Okinawa, right?
Yes.
Yes, traveling down to Okinawa to play football. It's just
Yeah.
weird to hear it said again because I haven't heard that word in so long, huh?
Yeah.
Other than the Yokota, like the in-house Japan rivalries, wasn't Okinawa a big rivalry to Zama?
Well, I mean, I think when we were there, both our football teams were doing really well, so that's why. But yeah, I mean, our like distance wise, they were kind of far, but
Yeah.
because I think they had to travel on a plane to go down there.
Well, why did you pick Penn State?
I just good engineering program.
Okay.
A lot of my family is from Philly, so that's not necessarily close. It's about a 3-hour drive, but just to have someone nearby. I didn't know where my parents are going to be, and I love big college football, so that's it doesn't
Well,
get
the
much
University of
bigger than that.
Texas,
Yeah.
Well, I'm a Longhorn, and we're in the college football
Yeah,
playoff.
good for you guys. Yeah. Yeah. I'm incredibly jealous.
I'm a Texas State Bobcat, and we actually got our first bowl ever in the history of our university. And ask me what the bowl name is. I don't know.
Probably GoDaddy.com
Terrible.
bowl or something. Yeah. It's probably-
Well, what's really kind of crazy, my husband is a Michigan fan. He's from Michigan.
Woo.
And so they're playing Alabama, and my mother-in-law is from Alabama, and she's an Alabama fan. So we have a house completely divided.
Yeah, my husband's a
Yeah.
Longhorn. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so-
we're definitely
Yeah.
divided.
Well, we had a question. So we have a hotline, and we had a question from a military brat. Actually, she wasn't a military brat. It was
no,
a
she
woman who
wasn't.
just had a random question and wanted to know, as a military brat, how do you choose your sports teams? Because you know how we're so mobile.
Oh yeah, that's a
which
great
I
question.
thought was
Yeah.
what I thought was really cool. So I see that you're a sports fan. So like,
Big
how
time,
did you
yeah.
end up choosing to be like? You're an Eagles fan as well, right? Eagles
Yes,
fan
yeah.
and Penn
Please
State.
don't say that word.
Go Birds. No, that actually is a great point because it is every single time I bring up the sports team that I root for, people are like, "You're not from Philly," because I'm Philly
yeah.
sports all the way. But
Right.
it's just that's where my dad was from. That's how he raised me to be an Eagles fan, as he should.
Gotcha.
I mean, I'm going to do the same thing, and I've never lived in Philly
Yeah,
my entire
yeah,
life.
yeah.
But it's like a family thing more than a location thing. I know some kids, they like move different places and they like go to the games there, and then they grow a bond with that team, and then before you know it, they have allegiances to all different cities. But I don't know. I don't think it's that deep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, for me, because that's how I'm a New York Giants fan and New York Yankees fan, because my dad is from New York, and that's
Right.
what I grew up with. So people are always like, because I've probably lived in California the longest, but I have no allegiance to any California
Right.
teams.
Yeah.
So like,
You don't even really think about it.
Yeah. Now I live in Texas.
Well, our baby sister's in LA. She's a Chargers fan. So.
Yeah. And now I live in Texas, and I mean, growing up a New York Giants fan, coming into cowboy country.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Tough area.
It's hard.
Ugh.
It's hard. I when I'm in school and it's football season, students like to give me a hard time sometimes, but
Yeah, you couldn't pay me. That's tough.
I bet it was tough your senior year because my husband's like you. He moved almost 12 times. He's an Air Force brat. He moved almost 12 times. And his senior, I think 6 weeks left in his junior year, his parents said, "We're moving." So he moved from New Mexico to Texas, and he was a brand new student his senior year, And so for him, his high school years, his school years are a lot different than my connection. Like, he's a different military brat. I call him a stateside military brat.
Mhm.
Whereas Rose and I would be considered stateside and overseas because we've done it both. But
Gotcha.
Yeah.
so you've been everywhere.
A little
Yeah,
bit.
so-
Overseas once. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that and your experience, I want to bring up your book, Dear Military Teen. So Shanon is the author of a book called Dear Military Teen, Moving, Deployments, and Winning the Game of High School. And you've got some great advice in here. And I'm going to bring up, let me get to that chapter. It's my favorite chapter because
No worries.
I read it and I was immediately like, yes, he nailed it.
Mhm.
And it's called The Social Shit Mountain.
Mhm.
And if it's
A shit
okay,
mountain it is.
I just like to read the first paragraph because it just
Sure.
describes it so perfectly. So imagine you sit down on the couch and find a random Netflix series to watch. A bag of hot Cheetos sits on your lap and your homework is a procrastinated afterthought. But when you click to start the show, instead of seeing the first episode, you watch a random episode in season 9. You may understand the general plot, but none of the characters are familiar. Nothing they refer to makes sense. The inside jokes are meaningless. Altogether, it lacks tension and stakes. You aren't invested like the diehard viewers who have known these characters for years. This is what it's like navigating a new social environment for us military children, particularly in a new school. Wow.
Wow.
You nailed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, just nailed it. And then you mentioned, I don't have it bookmarked, but I remember you mentioned something about your counselor saying, find your people and fit in. And
Yeah,
that advice
you hear
was
that all the
given.
time. Yeah.
That advice was given to me and I just wanted to strangle them
Yeah,
because
exactly.
that it's not like that in real life, So
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about that and your experiences and how you coped with moving from school to school and meeting and making friends.
Yeah, it's difficult, right? And I think a big part of that chapter, I moved on, and it was a lot about social media and how that also impacts kids today. And I would have been greatly remiss if I didn't bring that up in the book. So thank you for shouting out that chapter. There's no easy way to go about it, and that's something I said at the very beginning of the book. Is like everyone has a different journey, everyone's a different type of military brat. You guys said that too. So it's really hard to lay out this like generalized advice for everyone who has such a unique path. So that's one thing. But me personally, I really try to stick to myself. I try to be true to who I am. And that's really difficult to do whenever you are told all the time, like you just said, fit in, fit in, fit in.
Fit in, yeah.
Yeah, it's just you. And like, I get what people are saying whenever they give that advice. And I think it has good intentions. And it's a lot of times they weren't military bats themselves. And they're like, just trying to find your people, lay low. But kids can take that the wrong way, definitely, because next thing you know, they're not as outgoing as they typically would be, or they're not engaging in their interests because they're just trying to, just get by. And that's what I hate seeing the most. That's the number one thing is whenever I see a kid who's just trying to get by for a few years, they move somewhere, they're feeling really down, all their friends are 1,000 miles away, and they're thinking, I'll just survive for a few years, I'll get by. And the next thing you know, all those extracurriculars that they're really involved in, the sports they're excelling in, their passions are to the wayside, and they're not even the same kid anymore. It's just, it's really disheartening. So that's a big part.
Exactly. I remember in 9th grade, I tried out for the color guard at school, and I really got into the flags and everything. And I started to have some school spirit. And then my dad tells me, "Oh, we're moving. We're going to Germany." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah." I mean, I was disappointed, but I was like, wow, I found something that I'm good at and I like.
Yeah.
We go to a school. We end up not going to a Dodge school, going to an international school, and of course, there's no American sports. There's no color guard. There's no there's no cheerleading, there's nothing, and we were heavily into sports, and that was kind of our thing. So, and then also that chapter really stood out because when I was in middle school, I think it was a teacher, I don't think it was a counselor, but a teacher who wanted to introduce me to another girl whose mom she's like, oh, she's exactly like you. You know, her mom is Japanese. And I was like, oh, well, I guess different, but the same. My mom's Korean. Like we had nothing in common other than that. You know, I was like, oh, okay. So that whole find your people and fit in, you know, and it was just kind of what it was generalized to be. And I don't know. I guess when I read that, I had totally forgotten about that whole memory too until I read that. And I was like, oh my gosh, that really did happen to me. So yeah,
it's a crazy piece of advice that
yeah,
kids can take the wrong way.
I'm just so impressed because you're so young, you know, and to be able to touch on that right away and recognize that, you know, you're 21, right? 21?
Yes.
Yeah, and your book's very impressive. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm a 54-year-old woman. So,
Yeah,
you know, we're from very
She gave her
different
age
generations.
away.
It's okay. I'm proud. I love being 54, but I'm just saying that, you know, it just, and, you know, and our guest last month, he was 20 years older than us, Lisa? So it's just like we have different experiences, but the same experiences. You know, the emotions are the same. We might have gone about it different ways. So it's just neat to think that it continues.
Yeah, there's a lot more overlap than we think. And it's really cool that you guys can bring all of us together on this one platform.
Yeah.
So
that's
really
what's really unique about our little subculture here at Punk Brats.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So that is really interesting, all those places that you've lived and grown up in. So that brings me to my next question that I like to ask all our guests rather. How do you feel when people ask you where you're from?
I don't. Well, this is a tough one. This is like the question, right? I'm sure you guys ask everyone this.
The ultimate question.
I kind of enjoy it because I get to pick and choose, right? So what I do is, especially if I'm meeting someone new for the first time, I hear where they're from, and then if they're from a certain state that I've also lived in, I can throw that in there, and then I sound super knowledgeable about the area to an extent. So that's always nice. I like having that those options, but I don't have like one go-to. I lived in Virginia for the most amount of time, but I don't feel like I'm from there. I loved Okinawa, but I'd never say I'm from Japan. So I'm sure you guys get it.
Yeah.
Well, if you could pick one place that your heart is at,
come on, don't do
like
this
Rose
to
and I,
me.
even though Rose and I lived overseas, I lived overseas for 18 years, so many years. Texas was always the state we talked about when we were anywhere else. You know, that was like the state that if we were overseas and they said, well, what state do you associate with? We always said Texas. Is North Carolina the state that you associated with even when you were in, or I guess that's the state you just ended up in, right?
Yeah, I think for most of my life, I would say North Carolina, but now I feel so at home in State College, Pennsylvania at school right now. So I think maybe up there, and then my sports teams are from there.
You found your connection.
Yeah, but I don't feel like a northerner
now.
either. So who knows? It'll probably change next time you ask me. We'll go Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Well, I see that you're a Marine Corps brat. Your dad's a helicopter pilot.
Yes.
How cool is that? So my only experience in my life ever riding on a helicopter was when I was 12 years old living in Camp Zama. I walked in the middle of a snowball fight between my guy friends, and I won't say his last name, but Mike said, you know, they were throwing and he goes, oh my God, Lisa. And I turned around and bam, whacked me in my eye. I was knocked out and I woke up on a ambulance helicopter in Zama, being helicoptered to Yokosuka hospital.
I didn't know where that story was going. That's
no, that was so I don't like helicopters, and he and I are still besties to this day, and I laugh. And when he showed up at our reunion, he came with an eye patch as a
hilarious.
joke.
That's too good.
But yeah, that's so cool that your dad's a helicopter pilot, and please thank him for his years of service.
Certainly, yeah, it's
he's an impressive man after everything you wrote about him in your book. So
absolutely, yeah, it's I don't know, it's something I kind of grew accustomed to. So whenever I hear someone else say how cool it is, I'm like, yeah, I guess I do forget sometimes. That is pretty cool. Yeah. Which
Rose, have you ever been on a helicopter?
Only at Muster Day at Camp Mabry, where they open up all the like helicopters and the tanks, and they let your family and
it's
friends
on the ground
go.
still.
Oh yeah, no, I've never gone up in the air, but I have been on a helicopter. Like I've been
You
inside
checked
it.
out
I got,
everything. Yeah.
I,
You
I
got
got
the
to push
gist. Just
buttons.
imagine
I
it
actually
just
got to
goes
push some
off.
buttons.
Yeah.
Right.
See,
Yeah.
I didn't know where my sister was going with that.
Yeah.
But she's like, I thought I was going to go into this impressive story. I can't maybe
She
like
snuck onto a
'cause that's where I'm-
helicopter. She
She's like,
hijacked it. Yeah.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
nothing exciting like that. But it was pretty cool. I mean, and then what's really cool is I got to take my kids, many, many years later, take them and they got
Mhm.
to, play around on all the equipment, go in the helicopters, the
Oh
tanks.
yeah.
One other cool thing about being a military brat is like Armed Forces Day and 4th of July, all the, I guess like festivals that they have. Would it be a
Yeah.
festival?
Mandatory
I don't
fun.
know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Would it be a festival?
I don't know what they are. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah, we get it. Punk brats get it. Yeah, it's there.
Yes.
They just have,
Okay.
like, military
I'm
shit
like, I'm trying to
everywhere.
think of
Yeah.
like the right word for it. And I was like, well, I don't even
Yeah.
really know what it is. It was just like a thing.
So I have a question about your podcast. You do
Yeah.
the Shanon show. It's your podcast.
Yes.
And you got that. You were you did a lot of episodes. And I think that's really I watched a few and
Mhm.
I think it's really cool that you could bring such, all these other brats together. But I love how you bring your friends
Oh yeah.
on there.
Oh yeah.
I saw the connect, like you guys crack me up, and I love when military brat, like I just see that
Mhm.
that you both are the connection, I guess, is what I'm saying between the two of you. I can see that y'all are both military brats when you're talking. At least
Yeah.
I don't even know if you know which episode I'm talking about, but
There's so many.
it's
Yeah.
the guy
I
that's
don't.
always there's so many, but it's I think one of your last ones
Yeah.
that you did. But your book that you wrote that we were talking about earlier, that was funded through a grant, right?
Yes, that was from the Kerr Foundation. So actually, I wrote that. That was a major project that I did while working for the Museum of the American Military Family. They're based out of Sierras, New Mexico. They're about to move. Actually, I have to talk to seriously about that. Their director, but I worked for them for 2 years in a volunteer position, and we were kind of talking about what major project could I do to really help with the outreach to military teens, and I'd already started the podcast, and that's when we settled on the book. And that's I was fortunate enough. I applied for a few grants, and that helped me with motivation and also publicity.
That's so cool that they gave you the funding to do this.
Yeah.
That you're just a kid, or you were a kid when you wrote this, and they supported that. And I'm sure your
Yeah.
book is read by all ages. I've shared it with a few of my military brat friends to tell them about it to show their
Thank you.
kids.
Yeah,
So,
I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And, I'm reading it like I'm experiencing it all over again. So that's really
That's
cool.
Yeah, that's the goal. I'm just trying to walk, the reader through my shoes and show them what I've been through. And hopefully there's some things you can relate to. I'm sure a lot of things they're like, Shannon, what are you
Mhm.
doing? This is not relatable at all. Like, what the
Yeah.
hell? But
No,
I just
not
hope
at all so far.
there's some pieces of knowledge that are transferred. I can't even go back and read it sometimes. I'm just like, oh, why'd you say that? But I've gotten good feedback, so I think it's been helpful.
Hey, maybe it'll be made into a screenplay.
Maybe, yeah. I don't. Who's gonna play me, right? That's the question.
Who would you want to play you?
I'd have to pick a kid actor. That's weird. I don't know.
A kid.
Well, you'd have to
Right?
choose
Anybody
few
from-
because you're at all different stages of your life,
Yeah.
Oh, could he play himself?
I maybe at the very later end, maybe.
You could
maybe
do that
some-
cameo, like, where you walk
Yeah.
out and it's like actually you.
Yeah, or I'm like digitally de-aged. I'm assuming this is way down the line. I don't know. It might get weird.
I don't know. With all this AI technology, I guess they
Oh.
could use your face and just make
Yeah,
you like
wait
a
a
little
second.
version
Or
of
wait,
you.
you
and
could just
then-
be a
give them some old
hologram.
pictures and photos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. So do you still stay in touch with a lot of your brat friends? Do you have like a like from all the places that you've lived? Could you say that
Certainly,
you
yeah.
stay in touch with?
I probably
that's
have like
great.
1 or 2 really close friends from each place I've been to. Maybe a few more from Japan, just because that was, high school years, a little more impactful, a little more recent.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think I've done a good job. I think it's just certain connections last and some others don't. I mean, people just grow apart just like you would if you were seeing someone every day. But if the commitment's there, which it is with a lot of my friends, we make the time and we keep in touch. So
Sure.
I love that.
Yeah, that's really important. So, you know what? Guess what time it is, Rose?
Don't say it already.
It's lightning round.
Oh, man.
It's lightning round time.
that
It
flew.
is lightning round.
That conversation flew.
Yeah. I'm telling you, 30 minutes is just not enough time to speak with our guests, but anyway, you ready for
Oh, man.
this, Shannon?
This is my
Okay.
first time doing a lightning round, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
just
you
it's
got
basically
this.
rapid fire questions. And
Mhm.
all you need to do is just say whatever comes, off the top of your head.
Whew,
So
okay.
okay. So place you've never visited that you'd like to visit.
Europe, Netherlands.
Okay. Hamburgers or sushi?
Sushi, marginally.
Okay. What was your first job?
First job, unofficial. I mowed lawns in Japan. I mowed lawns for cash. But then, like, I got a real job. I was working. I was a busser at a breakfast restaurant
Oh, okay.
where I got paid a real paycheck. Real.
Cool.
It was like $6 an hour.
Real
Let's
money.
take it easy with the real. Yeah.
I think
I need
that's
more
so
money with the
cool.
lawns.
Okay, so what was the last song you listened to?
I was just running. I think I was listening to the Red Hot Chili Peppers while I was running.
Aw.
Can't stop, maybe.
Okay. Kindle audiobook or a physical copy of a book?
Physical copy every time. I can't read it on a Kindle. I get distracted, or I just go on my phone instead, and then I am not reading.
Okay.
I need
What
to
was
have
the
the
last
paper.
what was the last movie you saw?
Ooh, I saw Napoleon in theaters around Thanksgiving time.
Okay.
Oh,
Very
Yeah.
cool. If you won the lottery but only had one day to spend the money, what would you buy?
Oh man, I only have one day to spend all the money.
Yes, you have one day to spend all the money.
I was thinking, oh my God,
Probably
what would I do?
house, grad school,
Those are all good.
car.
I love that.
I need a car.
Those are three things.
Yeah, I need a car.
Okay. And if you could teleport yourself, where's the first place you'd go?
Okinawa, Japan, obviously.
Oh,
Is
you go back to Japan.
yeah, not time travel though. Just teleport. Just go back and see
Yes.
it.
Mhm.
And then I get
Yeah.
to teleport back, or do I have to buy the
Yeah,
airfare back to?
you get to come back.
Okay,
We'll let
I
you
didn't
come
know
back.
that'd be expensive.
Okay, and finally, what is your go-to snack?
Go to. Oh, that's tough. Goldfish maybe. I think that's quick. Easy.
That's a
Go
popular
goldfish.
one.
Yeah, it's
My
popular.
children still like eating goldfish.
Yeah, maybe I need to grow up. I don't know. Maybe I need to
No,
find an adult
no,
snack.
never
Goldfish
grow
is
up.
great. I'll never grow up. Just eat
Never
goldfish
grow up.
forever.
Just eat goldfish forever.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, there you go. Very cool. All
Wow.
Hey,
really,
you got
really
through
cool
the lightning
answers.
round.
Went through as fast as I could, guys. Yeah. Little thought.
Now,
Head was empty.
I missed it. When you said who did you mention for singing? What was the last song you heard?
Red
Hot
Hot
Chili
Chili Peppers. Yeah.
Oh, Red Hot. But what song?
Can't stop.
What album?
I don't know the album. I don't
Okay.
know. It was
It's one of my favorite bands.
Oh, great band.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't listen to a lot of old rock.
Especially
but
their old stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I'm okay with their. I'm not really keen on their new stuff, but like their old stuff will always be part of my
sure.
childhood memories. Red Hot Chili Peppers for sure. If you go back and listen to our podcast, episode 1, Rose and I share about when we took Metallica to the Super Bowl on our Germany, at our military base in Germany. So,
All right. I'll have to give it a listen.
Yeah, we're big rockers, man. We love our music.
Yeah. That's,
So, well, is there anything that you want to share with the audience about yourself or anything you want to plug for Shanon Hyde?
Yes, I want to plug, first of all, Bloom Military Teens. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of them. Military teen organization that do a lot of great things. They're in collaboration with the National Military Family Association. They have a new podcast coming out. I'm the advisor of that podcast. There's like 2 episodes right now. It's called The Bloom Room. 3 awesome kids, all in different parts of the country, who are doing a great job. That's totally
Great.
producing it on their own. They have their own team. So that's getting
Oh, very cool.
up off the ground. And Bloom in general, they do these surveys that let us know all these different things about the military community and food insecurity and mental health of military kids, which is great. So anyone out there my age or younger, go to them and ask for help, or just
Oh, is there a
I don't know.
website?
yeah,
You wanna plug them with the website?
bluemilitaryteens.org. Yeah, they're on social media.
Okay.
They're on TikTok. Their memes aren't as good as mine. Go follow the Shannon Show if you want to
Okay.
see some good military kid memes. That's what I'm all about.
Okay.
The book you can find on
And
Amazon.
people can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, where can we buy your
The
book?
book is on Amazon. Yeah, exclusively on Amazon. So you can go to Amazon. You
Okay.
can get, if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free. So I don't know if you guys are, super into that, but if not, it's like $3.99 ebook and then $13.99 for the paper copy. You get 2-day shipping. How cool
I'm
is that?
like you. I'm like you. Like my sister reads books, and I stopped reading books, but now I've recently picked it back
Mhm.
up, and I think I do prefer to read a hardback versus reading a Kindle or on my phone.
Yeah, it's the way to go. It
Yeah.
feels in touch with nature or something weird. I don't know. Can't decide.
Rose, you've never read a book electronically, have you? You usually always go with an old school book, right? Like the hard copy.
Usually, My daughter loves reading on her Kindle. She has it with her all the time. And I don't know. There's something about a book like in your hand, even the smell,
It's the smell.
like
Yeah, exactly.
I
Seriously.
don't know. That
The
sounds
smell.
weird, but
No,
even the
you're spot on.
smell.
Like-
So,
I'm going to have to go to a bookstore and smell some books.
Yeah, well,
they all have that distinct
I'm not
smell.
sure about
Okay.
that, though.
The book, Shannon, is called Dear Military Teen, and you can find it on
Yes.
Amazon. And thank you so much. It's really, really a
Yes.
great book so far, and honest advice.
Thank you
Love it.
so much for supporting. Yeah, guys, you guys are awesome.
Absolutely.
And then youtube.com/Shannon Show for all the old podcast
Yeah.
episodes and all podcast
Oh, yeah,
platforms.
YouTube.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I subscribe.
Thank you.
So, yeah, absolutely. Us brats need to stick together. If
Yeah.
we don't if we don't support one another and try to share all the things that we're trying to do, we're not going to get back on the map. And I feel like we're a neglected community, and we
yeah.
just really have to stick together. No matter what age, what generation, a brat is a brat.
Yeah.
And again, you're officially a punk brat. So
Yeah, and us punk brats got to stick together too. So I'm going to be a
Yes.
supporter from here on out. You guys are fantastic. And yeah, I think you guys are proof of that, and bringing all these different age groups together,
Thank
you
you.
know, all these different
Yeah.
backgrounds and making these connections on your show. So I love it.
Well, as brats, we don't ever like to say goodbye.
Ah,
It's just not a cool word. So,
Nope.
Rose, what do we always say?
We
to
always
our-
say see you later, because that's
Yeah.
what we do.
Yeah, because we'll probably move back eventually, right?
Exactly, right?
Yeah. See you later.
We always connect one way or another, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere down the
Yeah,
road. Yeah.
bumped into you
Yeah.
guys at the
So,
exchange. So
Well, thank you, Shannon. See you later.
thank you so
See you
much. See
later.
you guys.
Wow, what a great interview with Shannon. What a bright, intelligent young man.
Yes, he
Like,
is so
beyond
much
his
fun to talk
years.
to. So
And
much fun to
write
talk
a
to.
book and a pod. I mean, he's podcasting, YouTubing. I mean, just what a cool kid. Yeah. Thank you, Shannon, for joining the Punk Brats. Yeah. So we want to hear from other brats. So if you've got a story you want to share, please call us at 512-254-5989. Email us at info@punkbrats.com. Our website is punkbrats.com. And we're on social media. Punk Brats USA is our profile for X and Instagram. And we are Punk Brats on Facebook. So, wow, we had our sister on here. We had Shannon on here. What a great episode. And it's season 2 kickoff.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And season 2, here's
Okay.
to many more. All
Yeah.
right, Lisa, see you later.
Okay, Rose, I'll see you later.
Hey, ladies, this is Sabrina. I just wanted to call and say hey, and I love listening to the podcast. My husband served 22 years in the Navy, and he retired a little over a year and a half ago, and we settled in a cute little quaint town outside of Lampasas County. We have 3 daughters, and they were all what you consider military brats. One of my most vivid memories that comes to mind whenever I think of the military child is whenever you live on base and the bugles start to play, no matter what the kiddos are doing, they stop and they pay their respects. It was always such a heartwarming sight to see. As a family, we most definitely had our challenges with moving around and all the stresses that the military life can bring, but I'm so grateful for the experience. I don't think my children and I would be who we are today if it wasn't for our military venture. It helped shape us not only as a family unit, but socially, emotionally, and culturally as well. So now my middle daughter is in the process of joining the military, and I am excited to watch her as she steps into her new career. Well, that's it, guys. I hope y'all have a fabulous week. Bye.